Wake Me Up After the Apocalypse by Evil Goo. Chapter 11, Handle with Care. So, Trafalgar Law, Surgeon of Death, doesn't do dangerous stuff? Usopp asked, arms full with the large cardboard box as they followed the dirt path up the hill where the fields began, working their way towards Usopp's house. Nope. And why is that exactly? Seems pretty lazy, a pirate captain letting regular folks and women do all the hard work while he lounges about. Nami snorted. He's certainly a lounger, but he's always actually working on something. He has a way of making busy look lazy. Also, don't go sounding too much like Sanji. I'm the team lead around here, you know? I didn't mean anything by it. Yes, I know, I recognize that you are a tough lady. Damn straight. Though if I actually had a choice, I'd never go down there again. What exactly do you do? Expeditions? She let out a breath, raising her arms behind her head to stretch casually. Whenever we need supplies, we raid overrun villages. Can be dangerous. There's a third problem with Redvine: sleepwalkers. With our masks, we're pretty safe from the spores, but sleepwalkers are always a danger. The Redvine affects the brain of the sleeper. You know all about that, of course. After I carelessly unloaded you with information this morning. Yeah, about that. Well, sometimes it can affect the brain enough that it takes control of bodies. It turns blue when it does this. Think weapon-wielding zombies, but controlled by plants. Ah. Okay, then, so our nakama could be zombies? It's possible. She choked a little on her next words, the thought truly horrible. The worst case scenario on any island is running into a sleepwalking devil fruit user. If anyone from our crew? She shivered visibly, running her hands over her arms, the goosebumps not caused by the coolness of the evening. I don't know what we could do. We've never even tried to wake up a sleepwalker before. They're very dangerous, and it feels bad, fighting them, killing them. Even in self-defense, it feels bad. Like murder. Those people couldn't control themselves, so it wasn't fair when they had to die. Anyway, she abruptly switched to a brighter tone, shaking herself. We all voted. Law isn't allowed on ground missions. His work is too important. Huh. Surprised he agreed to that. He's done it a couple times, inserted himself into a dangerous situation despite our agreement. Last time I told him if he did it again, I would cut hearts into the butt cheeks of every pair of pants he owns. Usopp almost dropped the box. He was laughing so hard. I can't imagine you talking like that to him. He's so damn intimidating. Even the Surgeon of Death is terrified of the wrath of Nami, huh? Good to know. She smirked, not hiding that she was a bit proud of herself. I'm not so sure my idle threats had any effect, but he certainly is a man who will listen to reason. He understands why he needs to stay safe. If he were to die, this place would die. We run on hope. I told you before, didn't I, that every person was holding out hope to find somebody? Law is the only one who can free the sleepers. Without him, we lose hope. She didn't mention that she had pretty much lost hope anyways long ago, lost faith in her nakama. She was needed by the people here, though, and because of that she had had a reason to go on. Even after being assured that everything she had lost was irrecoverable, she had struggled on. Now she had hope. Finding Usopp had opened doors she thought had long since been nailed shut. He was there, you know, in the dream, Usopp said softly, bringing her mind back to the present. Huh? Law. After we all met up on Saboti, which never actually happened, we found Law and Punk Hazard. He offered to ally his crew with ours to defeat Kaido. Luffy, of course, agreed without even really understanding what an alliance meant. Kind of attached himself to Tragai, as he called him. Nami, you okay? She had stopped, her heart beating fast. Again. He had said something so impossible, and she just had no realistic answers. We found Law on Punk Hazard, too. Usopp nodded, thinking, shifting to rebalance the box on his right shoulder. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Seems weird, right? How did I know about Witheria if you never told me about it? Because in my mind, you did tell me about it. Then it turns out Bartolomeo is a real guy. So either I'm some kind of prophet, or something about the dream was, well, Nami, it felt damn real. I spent months with everyone, and never once did I feel like it wasn't real. He twisted his face up a little at that, quickly amending, well, okay, maybe once, or twice. It would happen when I was talking to you. I just got an awful sleep-falling feeling, you know? When you're just starting to fall asleep and you feel like you're about to fall from somewhere high. There was something to that. Something connected, but Nami just couldn't figure it out. What did it all mean? I don't know, Usopp. Was I maybe just acting oddly in the dream or something? No, that's just it. It was you, Nami, just like you. Everyone was themselves. I literally don't think I could make up the conversations we had or the reactions of everyone, but I guess I did. It was just a feeling. I thought I had some kind of fatal illness, actually, but I was too scared to mention it to Chopper because it sounded too weird. I wonder what a character in a dream would say about you getting a weird feeling about someone in a dream, she thought, out loud. Probably would give me shit about it, saying I wasn't sick, but insinuating I might have a crush or something. At the look she gave him, he quickly amended, which was not it. It was something, though. More like fear. They were nearly at the house marked for Usopp. He wondered where Nami lived. He imagined she had set aside the nicest of the small cottages for herself, as was customary. Sure enough, when pressed, she pointed to a silhouette against the star-speckled sky, only a couple small vegetable fields behind his own new home. It certainly seemed bigger, though it was hard to tell in the dark. It's number 12. Tomorrow... I can't believe I'm saying this, but tomorrow we should talk to Dion. The green fish man? Yes, the fish man. Look, it's not because he's a fish man. I'm not that prejudiced, I hope. But honestly, I can't stand the guy. I try to play it off as a joke, but he's a piece of work. He also happens to be the only other sleeper we've woken up. Let's compare notes with the jerk and see if we can find some answers. Usopp's dreams that night were, well, very vivid. He imagined if he had been sleeping for 4 fucking years, he might be granted some clemency, some calm and dreamless nights. But of course, the universe didn't work out quite like that. Maybe his brain was just wired for evocative dreams, nightmares, now, and he would always have them. He kind of hoped not, because it left him tossing and turning his way through a less than restful night. She was there. Throughout most of his waking memory, she was a sickly girl, bedridden but always waiting with a smile on her face. In the dream, she was as she was the last time he had seen her, stronger, determined in her own ambitions, but still waiting for him. Just the other day, he was secure in that knowledge. He had no evidence to base the feeling off of as he worked with his friends to secure the land of Wano, but something in his gut told him, day by day, that she was cheering him on, waiting for him to come home. Now he was in this other world, the world where there was no one waiting. Maybe it was how hard he had worked to suppress the thought in the light of day that had it attacking him at night. So, she was there. She was there, with pale hair a little longer, blowing in the ocean breeze while she stared straight ahead, gazing out at the water. She had the smallest smile on her face while she watched the amber light of the midday sun kissing the distant waves. A few small fishing boats, just pinpricks in the distance. He knew this beach. This was home. He felt compelled to step closer to her. She was still so far away, and he realized with a sudden shock that he was frozen in place. He couldn't approach her. She noticed him then, and even though she was yards away, when she opened her mouth to speak in a whispering tone, he could hear it quite clearly, though the words didn't quite match her petal pink lips. You know what's interesting to think about, Usopp? The best medicines can only cure someone if you know what you're doing. The best medicines can either heal or poison, depending on how they are used. Something was coming. There was a shadow passing over her, but Usopp found he couldn't move his head to see what it was. His gaze was stuck on her fair face, soft eyes crinkling to match the smile, growing wider. So they have to be handled with care. The shadow loomed, and he could see what it was now. It was the ocean, rising high into a curling tsunami, dark with something red blooming in the middle of the wave like a bleeding wound. It was moving slowly, much more slowly than a wave had any right to move. It was a wild cat stalking prey, shifting closer and closer and blocking out the golden rays of the sun. Foxglove, for instance, comes from a pretty flower. It's my favorite flower. We have it all around the house. It can be used to treat arrhythmia in the right dose, but too much can kill. He couldn't even call her name. No warning was allowed to leave his lips. The awful power of the dream held him down, and he felt as if he could burst from the effort. The spout of red in the wave had spread. The entire thing was crimson now, moving in a thick, gelatinous way, thicker than blood, but not exactly solid either. Too much can kill. And then the wave dropped, coating her completely, and she was still smiling, still watching the sea. She disappeared in pieces as the tsunami ate her bit by bit, and when the water settled and soaked into the sand, there was no Kaya left behind. She was just gone. He woke up with unintelligible words bursting from his mouth, the force of trying to speak in the dream hemorrhaging into reality. He was covered in a cold sweat. It was still completely dark, and for a moment he was lost. Where was he? Wano? The Sunny? No. Witheria. That's right. She was gone. He hadn't seen it with his own eyes, but just as he had been sure she was waiting for him before, he was sure she was not now. He felt it in his gut. He knew Nami was right, and he couldn't help but feel a tiny seed of bitterness towards the navigator over it. It wasn't her fault it happened, but it was her fault he knew about it. He wished he could go back to dreaming in ignorance, as he curled himself up and really cried for the first time since learning his island was gone. Nami knew she had a lot to do today. She had to check in with the observation deck and discuss their course, provided they had, as predicted, reached the calm belt and could accurately project their next heading. It was her job to water the crops today, taking over for Pelusha, who had recently broken a hip and was on bed rest, orders of law. And, on a more personal note, she had laundry to do. But she couldn't resist a quick stop before breakfast. He was actually sitting on the stoop leading from his house into the small garden entrance, the low step making his gangly limbs seem cumbersome, his knees rising too high to properly rest his arms on them in the way he was seated. He was holding something, and he seemed to be bowed over a bit more than look comfortable, too, as she approached him from the side. "Morning, Usopp," she called, her voice beginning light and cheery. She was generally a morning person, but fading out to something flat at the end. She hadn't noticed. Maybe she should have been more cautious. There was a slight shaking to his shoulders. She should have noticed and let him be. He hurriedly swiped at his face, and with the motion she could see what he had gripped in his hand. It was a flower, the same as one located just outside the door of his small but neat little cottage. Nami wasn't sure what to do next. She should not have bothered him, but it was too late to pretend she didn't see. She sighed. It was really awkward, so she may as well bring it fully around and park it. She walked up to him, setting herself on the step next to him, smoothing out the fabric of her skirt against her legs. She liked being able to wear skirts when she wasn't needed for expeditions or farm work, the real dirty kind, not the climate-act kind. So she did so whenever she could. She had plenty of them. They didn't get ruined like most of her other leg wear. "Hey," she tried again, and he finally looked up, his face dry. His puffy, red-rimmed eyes were a dead giveaway, though. "Oi, Nami, morning," he choked out, clearing his throat. She reached over, grabbing the flower out of his hand without asking permission and twirling it by the stem in between her fingers. "You know, if you want a cutting for inside or something, you can ask Harades. It's kind of his inherited department. I personally don't know why we bother with gardens, but, well, water isn't an issue for weather scholars. It's easy work for the old guys, and it seems to keep up morale, except, you know," she indicated him with a palm to the sky, gesturing up and down his body. He shook his head, letting out a long breath. "That obvious, huh? I just had a bad dream. No big deal." "No big deal, huh?" Nami gazed casually at the delicate, multi-blossomed flower. They looked a lot like the blooms of the Redvine, individually, but the spotted magenta bells were stacked all together to form a cone. It was beautiful, actually, but its passing resemblance made her uneasy. "You know, it cures arrhythmia. Someone told me that once, when they read about it in a book." Ah. Nami was smart enough to put two and two together. It was possible he was talking about Robin or Chopper, she supposed, but if she had to guess, he was not. She looped her arm under and around his own in a kind of partial hug, holding the flower back out for him to take with his other hand. He did so, hesitantly. He was definitely out of it, his own private thoughts taking up too much of his mind to react normally. Nami could empathize, though it had been a long time since she had last had nightmares about Nojiko or her nakama. "Kaya gave us the going merry," Nami said, tightening her grip on his arm when she felt him tense against her. That was a dead giveaway. He was talking about the girl from his hometown. Yeah, her and Mary. But really, she was giving it to you." "Maybe. I mean, Luffy was the one who really saved the day. I suppose. Luffy saw something in you that day, when you stood up for the people who disregarded your warning. Well, as a pummeled, veritable mess of a human being that could barely even move, you still struggled to save her. You never stopped trying. That's your thing. I'm sure she knew how much you cared about her." Usopp looked surprised, drawing back a little to angle his torso more squarely at her, but she stepped right over whatever he was about to say. "Oh, please. It was pretty obvious how you feel about her." He was silent at that, but he didn't protest like she expected him to. That in itself was a bit concerning. "I'm sorry." "You went there, Kokoyashi, to see Nojiko?" Nami didn't expect the topic switch, and it caught her momentarily off guard, her throat sticking closed. "We couldn't touch down safely on most islands in East Blue, but I insisted, so, yeah, I saw her." Usopp's eyes grew wide at that, losing his grip on the flower and seeming not to notice as it fell to the path in front of his feet. "You saw your sister? You went into your house?" "I had to. I knew what I would find, but I still had to." The memory stung more than she thought it would, so many years later. It stung every bit as much as the one of Bellamere being shot in the face. She didn't want to think about Nojiko that way. The only thing recognizable about her shriveled figure was her tattoos. "I know you might not want to believe it, but East Blue was absolutely devastated. I can't lie. We didn't actually go to the Gecko Islands, Usopp, but I know. I got that. But I can just feel it. He slapped at his chest haphazardly, a casual expression of his usual over-exaggerated motions, making his point quite clear. Yeah, I don't even know if Luffy or Zoro could have made it if they were in that sea when it happened. They weren't. Oh, you're talking about the Redvine's dream again. Yeah, I am. I know we're not sure if we can trust what I know, but in the dream I knew roughly where a few of our nakama went. Not all, but a few. What if it was some kind of premonition? How could something like that be? Usopp was a lot of things, both good and bad, but he was never someone with any kind of superpower. Maybe that had changed. She had certainly witnessed stranger things in her time. I'm pretty busy today, but maybe we can corner Dion after dinner. Are you checking in with Zifa to see what she needs you to do? He was on farming today, just like her. Except not the easy, climate-act kind of work. She grimaced. He had no idea what he was in for. Since it was only his second day on the island, she hoped Zifa would show caution and go easy on him. He, at least, seemed eager to do something, to be useful, to distract himself. Yeah. She should be at breakfast, shall we? Nami stood up, brushing at the back of her skirt, and lowered a hand with the intention that he would take it to stand up. He still seemed dazed, but he took her offer, relying on her effort only marginally to raise himself. She had the nagging urge to keep holding his hand, to do something to help him feel better, other than just distracting and rerouting. But she figured he would find that patronizing, so she let him go.